If you ask most Highlander fans what the Quickening is, they'll tell you that it's the transfer of power that occurs when one immortal beheads another. And while that's true, it was originally something far greater than that, and when you understand what that is, you'll never be able to see Highlander the same way again. My name is David McMurdo and welcome to Highlander Lore, where you learn the deepest Highlander lore from a Highlander. When Connor first meets Ramirez in the original Highlander movie, this happens.
The sensation you're feeling is the quickening.
Besides that, one of the most memorable scenes is when Ramirez tells Connor to feel a nearby stag.
Feel? Come on! McLeod, come on! I feel her! Come on!
After that, they run along a beach and then leap off a cliff, with Ramirez saying,
McLeod! This is the quickening! Yes! Yes!
These things happen because originally the quickening was a power that permeated all of creation, and one that the immortals could innately tap into. Indeed, it's the very thing that makes them immortal. The best way to think of the immortals as originally conceived is that they're psychic and empathic warriors that become increasingly so through the power of the quickening. It's the reason that a seasoned immortal like Ramirez could teach his younger brother in the quickening to derive vitality from a stag.
Who are you? We are the same, McLeod. We are brothers!
And it's the reason that, centuries later, Connor, now a veteran himself, can sense the hidden tape recorder and gun in Brenda's apartment, as well as the policeman watching it. This wasn't an illustration of mere cleverness on Connor's part, but rather an illustration of how in tune with the quickening he became. The fact that the quickening was originally a force that unified all life is also the reason that total psychic power was an innate aspect of the prize.
You're at one with all living things. Each man's thoughts and dreams are yours to know. You have power beyond imagination. Use it well, my friend.
Highlander 2 retained this understanding of the quickening. On Zeist, after Ramirez has singled Connor out as a man with an important future, he conducts a ritual that evokes the quickening to bind the pair. Ramirez reaffirms this just before the two are exiled to Earth.
Will we be together on Earth?
Well, not at first, but we are joined in a way that can never be broken. Not even by death. When you need me, you'll only have to call my name.
And so this is how, on Earth in the year 2024, Connor is able to use the power of the quickening to resurrect Ramirez after beheading Corda and Reno.
Rather glad the magic works.
The most spectacular manifestation of it in Highlander 2 is, of course, the scene where Ramirez uses the power of the quickening to lift the fan that's threatening to kill him, Connor and Louise. Believe it or not, Highlander 2 also contains a direct parallel to the stag scene in the first movie. Watch what happens here. That hiss wasn't just Connor making a strange noise, it was him lashing out at Katana as the now dead eel, another illustration of his innate connection to life itself.
Just remember, the quickening.
It sounds like magic.
Oh, it is? Kind of.
At this point, some of you will be thinking that the original conception of the quickening sounds an awful lot like the Force in Star Wars, and you're right, but it's not because Highlander was copying Star Wars, it's because both the concept of the quickening and that of the Force are based on the same real-world spiritual ideas that I myself am intimately familiar with. Before I go on to explain how and why the concept of the quickening changed, please help my channel out by liking the video, clicking the bell icon for notifications, and subscribing. Also be sure to check out the links in the description box, including that for Patreon, where you can access all kinds of bonus content. If any of you are having trouble following this video, then be sure to check out the video in which I give an overview of all of live-action Highlander. I made it specifically to help newcomers understand the basics of Highlander. The link to that will also be in the description box. Regardless, I thank you all very much for watching. Now, it was really the Highlander TV series that cemented the idea in people's minds that the Quickening is nothing more than the transfer of power from one immortal to another, and yet it too contains echoes of the original concept in its first season. In the episode Innocent Man, Duncan and Tessa are on their way to meet an old immortal friend of Duncan's called Lucas, but Lucas is beheaded by another immortal before they get there, and Duncan feels it.
He's dead.
In the episode Freefall, Duncan conveys the oneness of the immortals through the Quickening to the immortal Felicia Martins.
It's only when we die that we become immortal. Maybe the closer you came to that time, you instinctively began searching for someone who could help you.
But I'd never even heard of you. I mean, you make it sound as if we're linked together in some way.
We are. We're linked and locked for all time.
Although there is plenty of strange phenomenon to be seen in seasons 2 to 6 of the show, they present the Quickening itself only as the power transferal from one immortal to another. It's not a coincidence that it's only the opening narration of season 1 that mentions the Quickening by name.
I was born 400 years ago in the Highlands of Scotland. I am immortal, and I am not alone. Now is the time of the gathering, when the stroke of a sword will release the power of the Quickening. In the end, there can be only one.
Note the wording there. The power transferal is the power of the Quickening unleashed. It is not the whole of the Quickening itself. The producers were very open about their efforts to change what the Quickening was. They even went so far as to edit the first movie. In later releases of the original Highlander, such as the American director's cut, they removed the dialogue where Ramirez mentions the Quickening that I showed you earlier, so that the movie as a whole would make more sense with the later understanding of the Quickening as being nothing more than the power transfer after beheading. They did the same with Highlander 2. Both the Renegade and Special Editions have all references to the Quickening as a mystical force removed. Here's an example.
The ancient power of the Quickening has joined us. We are now as one. We are now as one.
I have mixed feelings about this redefinition of the Quickening. In fantasy, there are writers that like to explain their magic systems, and there are writers that like to keep them ambiguous. When you're dealing with a concept like that of the original Quickening that has its roots in real-world mystic thought, you have no choice but to leave it unexplained, because its mystery is half the point. You can no more explain how Ramirez lifted that fan than you can explain how Yoda lifted that ship from the swamp, except to say that it was through the power of the Quickening or through the will of the Force. So I can empathise with the producers and the writers wanting to make the world of the Immortals more immediately understandable than that, especially when writing an increasingly complicated TV show. The problem is that when you remove the original mystical nature of the Quickening, you necessarily compromise the integrity of so many other concepts that are integral to Highlander because they have their origin in that original conception. I mean, you just cannot properly understand certain aspects of Highlander without understanding the greater concept of the Quickening. Consider the Gathering. It's an idea so synonymous with Highlander that even non-fans associate the words The Gathering with the franchise.
I have said it before, and I will say it again. Our business is the gathering. Prepare yourself for it, or it will swoop down and you will lose your head.
But have you ever noticed that there's no mention of it beyond Season 1 of the Highlander TV show? Neither Seasons 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Highlander Endgame or Highlander The Source mention the Gathering even once. Even Highlander 3 only mentions it in reference to the original movie. This is mainly because, as the TV series went back and forth between Seacouver and Paris, the idea of the Immortals being drawn to one specific location ceased to work for the benefit of the show. But there's another reason. In all of live-action Highlander, there is only one single explanation of what the Gathering is, and it comes from Ramirez in the original movie.
When only a few of us are left, we will feel an irresistible pull towards a faraway land to fight for the prize.
And what is it that pulls the Immortals to that faraway land? That's right, it's the mystical unifying force of the Quickening. If you redefine the Quickening to just be the transfer of power between Immortals, then you remove the very means by which there can be a gathering. So when, after season 1 of the Highlander TV show, they changed what the Quickening was, so too went the idea of the Gathering. So now you know why it is that, before I got to the nature of the Immortals or the rules by which they live, I had to address the subject of the Quickening. Because originally, it wasn't just a transferal of power, it was the force behind almost every supernatural aspect of Highlander. I'll be using the original conception of the Quickening to fully explain every other ambiguous aspect of the franchise in time, but for now, let me know what you think. Do you prefer the original vision for the Quickening? Has an understanding of it fortified your position that there should have been only one movie? Or do you like the way that the mythology evolved to be more straightforward? Either way, thank you very much for watching, stay tuned for more Highlander lore, and remember, in the end, there can be only one.